Morning to one and all on this glorious day. We have 4 hockey games tonight. I won't be posting reviews all separately for tonight's games because 3 of them take place at basically the same time. I think there's a 1 hour later difference here. We're back to the week stuff. So during the week, I'll continue to do just the reviews all as one video. I'll still try to get as much detail in as I can, but it gets trickier to try to watch 3 games at once than trying to watch them all separately, which is pretty easy to do on the weekends. That being said, let's start off with Calgary and Colorado. So we've got 3 teams tonight that won back home ice advantage in either Game 1 or Game 2 of their series, and in Colorado's case, it was Game 2. So tonight, they can kind of put the hammer down and maintain that home ice advantage with a win against Calgary. Calgary, on the other hand, should be coming in a little bit fired up after a game in Game 2, which definitely showed Colorado can hang with them, and they kind of want to go out and do what they did in Game 1 again. Bennett has 3 assists for Calgary. Tkachuk has 2 goals. There are 4 players on Calgary who have 2 or more points so far in these playoffs. They have 4 defenders, however, with 0 points. So, a little more offense from the blue line kind of thing, maybe. It's been a pretty solid offensive effort, though, for Calgary. They just need to be really careful about how fast Colorado seems to be to some of these pucks, and just the hard work has to be there if they're going to win this one in Colorado tonight. On the Colorado side of things, Rantanen with 2 assists, he's their leading scorer. So due to the shutout they suffered in the first game, it makes it look like they're not scoring, but they broke through in that second game. However, Barrie, Kerfoot, Brassard, and Jost all headline the guys who are scoreless. And when you see a large number of players who are scoreless in a series, and that series is tied, that kind of works to the advantage of the team that's got all those guys who are scoreless, because no harm, no foul. And at some point, these guys are going to pick it up. Through the first 2 games, Mike Smith has a .954 save percentage. Philip Grubauer has a .926 save percentage for Colorado. So both goaltenders playing very, very well. I would be very surprised if either team switched goalies for this one. Now, if you look at the average in this series, the shots are 34.5 to 32.5 in favor of Calgary. Been a very evenly played series thus far, and I kind of expect a close one tonight between these 2 teams. I still think that Calgary's the better team. The funny thing in the playoffs, and I've said this before, and I know people sometimes get upset when I say it, the best team going into a series doesn't necessarily win that series. There's a lot of other factors that go into it. And when you're just against one team and you're not against a different team every night, the whole mentality completely changes. And the coaching changes. The way that players adjust from game to game changes because you're just playing that one team. The interesting thing when you look at the Stanley Cup is there's 16 teams you're playing against, right? But in reality, you only have to go through 4 teams. So you don't have to worry about what anybody else is doing. You only have 4 teams you have to defeat and you win a Stanley Cup. Makes it sound very simplistic, and it isn't. But for Colorado, the first of those 4 teams is Calgary. And if we ended up with, let's say Colorado knocked off Calgary and you end up with them against Vegas, Vegas would have home ice. Vegas fans would accept that. They would be completely fine with that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's move on to the next game. Where we've got Washington trying to put the stranglehold on Carolina. We've got a couple of series at 3-0 right now, and one of them involves fellow Metropolitan New York Islanders, and the Washington Capitals will be trying to do the same tonight. I understand, and you know, Carolina fans have said, well, we've been close, we've had our moments. Yep. But it's still, throughout the first 2 games, has not felt to me like Washington's in a whole lot of peril, and that this series is kind of in favor of the Caps. And we may see things change tonight in Carolina. We may see that home crowd come out and really fire the team up. They may very well win the game and start threatening to turn the tide in the series. But I like the Caps' chances, and with the way the Penguins are going down and Tampa's going down, I I'm starting to think, you know what? The Caps end up going back to the finals. It wouldn't necessarily surprise me. That being said, this might be one of those years where everything is just all topsy-turvy. On the Capitals, Backstrom has 3 goals and an assist. That's unexpected. 3 goals and 1 assist from Nick Backstrom. Normally it's the other way around. Carlson has 3 assists. There are 7 players with 2 or more points for the Washington Capitals. Vrana and Connolly lead the list of the scoreless, and of course, Vrana was off the ice for a lot of that third period in their last game. We'll see how much ice time he gets tonight, and yeah, we'll see if Connolly can get off tonight as well. Walmark with a goal and 2 assists. Svechnikov with 2 goals and an assist. We'd all expected them to be leading Carolina in scoring after 2 games, right? There are 4 players with 2 or more points right now for the Carolina Hurricanes. Teravainen and Niederreiter lead the list of the guys who haven't got a point yet. And for Carolina, this is absolutely 100% must-win game. No choice, must-win game. Holtby has a .912 save percentage. I'm surprised it's not higher, to be honest. Mrazek with an .860. And I know Carolina fans have been very quick to say, hey, no shade at Mrazek. It's not Mrazek. Yeah, but at the same time, maybe go with McElhinney to try to change things, turn things around. This is the funny thing, because going into the playoffs, we were talking about how, teams go with tandems. Are we going to see a tandem in the playoffs? Leonard started all 3 games for the Islanders. I don't see any reason Mrazek probably doesn't play game 3. Tandems exist during the regular season. In the playoffs, you go with your number 1 goaltender. You make a choice. Average shots in this series, 28.5 to 25.5 in favor of Carolina. So Carolina's out shooting Washington, but they're not taking shots like they were early in the regular season. They haven't gone back into that. I'll call it a bad habit, because that's really what it was. Early in the season, they were taking shots from absolutely everywhere, and they weren't going in. This Carolina team's much more selective, but they're going to have to be careful tonight, because if they emerge without a victory, they're done. This is a must-win game for Carolina, and we'll see how it turns out for them, because this is the only series that's not tied at 1 going into tonight. So this is the only game that you can look at and say is really a must-win. Moving along, Boston and Toronto. Yes, I'm wearing Toronto. I do that, and I still say this black ice Toronto jersey. It greatly reminds me of what Tampa wears for a 3rd jersey this year. It is very similar. This is why when I say that Tampa's 3rd jersey is a black ice jersey, and I see people say in the comment section, what's the black ice jersey? This is a black ice jersey. This is why I said it. The only difference is, of course, this has blue on it, and the black ice jersey being worn by Tampa, as I call it, doesn't have any color in it at all. It's just gray and black. All right. So this series between Boston and Toronto is tied at 1. We all know that. The Nazem Kadri, whatever he's going to get, we don't know that yet. So we don't know. It's an in-person hearing, so it could be anything. They're not calling him in for tea and crumpets. This is going to be something, and we'll see what they do with Kadri, and then how that becomes my fault. Anyways, you did it, Shannon. You did it because you cheer for Boston, so you made this happen. Like Batman's on the phone to me asking, how many do you want him to get? Anyways, Marchand leads the way with Marchand. Sorry, they called him Marchand on Nesson for so long, and he went back to Marchand. Anyways, a goal and 2 assists. He leads the team with 3 points, and no problems with Marchand yet. There are 3 players in Boston with 2 or more points. McAvoy, DeBrusk, Krejci, and Chara all lead the list of the scoreless. Chara's not a surprise. DeBrusk kind of sort of is. Everybody gets mad about the way DeBrusk played game 2. I will say this. DeBrusk is a skill guy. He had 27 goals this year. I would much prefer he's out there scoring goals. But there's something somewhere. We're going to read a book someday between Nazem Kadri and Jake DeBrusk. And I don't know if one of them said something about the other one's mother or something. But these guys, it goes back to last year's playoffs. They don't like each other at all. Period. All right. On the Toronto side, Marner with 2 goals. That, of course, was in game 1. Kadri, a goal and an assist for 2 points. I put him on the board to illustrate Not only do they have to replace that sandpaper if he's suspended for tonight's game, but they have to replace that offense as well. And while Marleau is a well-respected veteran, he also has had a severe drop in his offensive output this year. And if he ends up being the third line center, that could be a problem. If it's Nylander, this is kind of Nylander's chance at redemption. 4 players with 2 or more points, and I know Mike Babcock has got plans in place for if Kadri isn't in the lineup. Matthews, Riley, Kapanen, Gardner all held scoreless through the first 2 games. If Toronto goes out and Austin Matthews ends up not being a factor in these playoffs, I will join with other people who have started to wonder about Matthews as a playoff performer. It's tough, though, because he is so young, and it is a lot to expect from a young kid. But there are other young kids in the NHL that are getting it done. So there is a conversation to be had, and a conversation about Toronto's core, Toronto's cap situation, and whether or not this is a team that's built to win in said playoffs. But if they win tonight, all that talk goes away. If Matthews gets a goal tonight and they win the game against Boston in Toronto, all of it goes away for about 6 hours, and then we start talking about Game 4. Rask has a .937 save percentage through the first 2 games. So does Freddie Anderson. Both of them have been solid. Rask looked a little shaky in the first game, looked much better in the second. Average shots are 39.5 to 32 for the Boston Bruins. And so we'll see in Game 3 tonight whether or not Toronto can get that momentum back. I know they can. I've been terrified. I've been saying this. This is not something I'm just saying now either. You can look back over reviews and previews and talks about Toronto. Toronto scares me as a team. If this team gets it figured out and they start clicking on all cylinders, I absolutely believe they can beat Boston. But we'll see what happens tonight, right? All right, last up, Nashville and Dallas. So Dallas goes into Nashville. They win Game 1. They fail to win Game 2. And now they've got to allay my fears. My fears that the momentum has shifted in favor of Nashville. In order to do so, they have to win at home tonight. If Nashville wins this game tonight, Nashville takes back home ice advantage. All they need is a split in Dallas. They can go home for Game 5, win Game 5, and then Dallas is behind the 8 ball. Yarncroke and Ekholm both have 2 assists for the Nashville Predators. Arvidsson, Forsberg, Granlund, Johansson, scoreless. And what did I say? If you come out of 2 games and you're tied, and a lot of your big names, a lot of your scorers haven't scored yet, that's a pretty good thing for your team going forward. The Nashville Predators haven't needed any of their big names yet. And they got the one game that they needed at home. Now they can get a game in Dallas. And if Arvidsson starts putting pucks in the net, yeah. On the Dallas side, Ben, a goal and an assist. Heiskanen, a goal and an assist. I know he had 2 goals in that one game, but one of them was taken away from him. Hintz, Faksa, Lindell, Janmark all held scoreless. So, Dallas has some guys that they're hoping to get off the rough side of things, which has been the case all year. All year I've been complaining about their lack of scoring, their lack of goal support for goaltending that has been absolutely fantastic. Rene has a .923 save percentage. Bishop has a .946 save percentage, and they get the split. So this is definitely a series that's in favor of Nashville. If you look at it from this point of view, they've outshot the Dallas Stars on average 37-26 in this series. It has been a Nashville series. If Dallas allows 37 and gets 26 shots tonight, I think they lose the game. I really hope they prove me wrong. I really hope they have a good game. And it's going to be an interesting one because with this series, it feels like Dallas is kind of up against it because Nashville does have a lot of experience over the last couple of years, and that scoring is going to show up. And I don't know how much longer Bishop can keep playing the way he's played in these first 2 games. Maybe he can continue it throughout every game of the series, but they're going to need to give him some goal support. So there you go. you guys are all set up for tonight's games. And yeah, it's going to be a fun night. It's going to be an interesting night. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just tap it upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for all your support. Thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.